Greetings and salutations, comic book conversationalists. This is Comic Book Hangover. Once again, my name is Scott, and here is the first weekly haul of 2025. Only, 2 weeks into this year, and it's already been an exciting year for this country. We here in Michigan are getting ready for I guess a Siberian massive freezing cold air coming through in the next couple of days. So we're getting ready to prepare the house for it. There's just basic things that you do, protect the pipes, make sure windows and stuff are secured and whatnot, so you don't lose all your heat. But that's all the other stuff going on out in California. There's a lot of stuff going on, but what I want to talk about are the comic books that I've been picking up so far this year. But first, as you know, if you've been watching my videos regularly, I did run out of new posters, new comic book posters at the end of last year, which is kind of ironic that it would end right at the end of the year. But I just got some more posters in, starting with this one here. This is from the Rogue Savage Land miniseries that Marvel's putting out. I picked it up not because I'm an X-Men fan. Everyone knows I'm not really much of an X-Men fan, but I do know a hot cover when I see it. And I remember back in the 90s when a lot of the X-Men covers, even in the 80s, 90s, a lot of X-Men covers featured the female X-Men characters and made them look like hot women. And it was okay back then. And apparently it's okay now on this cover because that's how it's doing. From my understanding, though, this is one of those books that takes place between certain issues of Uncanny X-Men, so it takes place in the 80s or 90s. So the cover is going to reflect that, which is great, which I love. But I got that. I have two more posters, or facsimile edition cover posters. Those will be next week and the week after that. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use first. I'm not going to say what they are yet. And I do have other posters that I guess are going to be coming in, but fear not. For those who actually care about this sort of thing, if I do run out of these posters, I have plenty of other posters that I can put up, including a lot of horror movie posters and some other comic book stuff. So posters, I love them, and I'm going to keep doing them and rotating them out every time I do a video. So let's just get into the books that I picked up the last couple of weeks. We're going to start with the trade this time first, and then we're going to get into the books, which are absolutely no order because I have been reading them. They're just in a stack, so they're not in any specific order. Also, I'm hoping that the audio is working on this. I switched back to the older mics that I was using. Trying to do a setup with the one mic that I was using was too much of a hassle, so I figured I'm going to go back to the mics that I was using, and hopefully the sound works out really well and I don't have to do this video a second time. But the trade that I picked up is the Godzilla Library Edition Volume 2. I love these library editions because it's IDW going back and collecting all of the stuff that they did for Godzilla over the last decade or so. And this one collects the Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters story, which ran for 12 issues. So it's just the one series, but you're getting all 12 issues in this. And with this, I think there's a volume 3 that I need to get, and then I'll be waiting for the for more to come out. But I grabbed that. Let's get these out of the way first. Let's go through some facsimile editions here. All right, so from DC, and these are all facsimiles from DC. I think it's one of the few times I haven't gotten any facsimiles from Marvel, but we have Batman number 609. I do need to read these. This is reprinting the Hush story, a very iconic storyline, one of the more groundbreaking stories that DC did with Batman, and great Jim Lee covers. I haven't read it yet. I think there's the 608 and 609 and 608, 609 I would need to do, but they're reprinting the entire Hush storyline. Much like how Marvel reprinted the first year of Amazing Spider-Man with a black suit, and DC has been reprinting Crisis on Infinite Earths. Marvel reprinted Secret Wars, doing them as a monthly edition instead of just doing random issues. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat to be able to get these stories. So we got that one there. Speaking of Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue 10, and I am really behind on this. I need to read these and get caught up because I think we've only got 2 more issues to go, and this is done. And then for the one off, we've got The Brave and the Bold, issue 29. Another one that it's a first experience with somebody. I'm not a DC guy, so I couldn't really tell you. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not much of a DC guy, so I don't know too much about their history. But another one, I grabbed these because I love this old school cover art. This great cover art there. So those are all the facsimile editions that I picked up. Now for the regular books, let's just start at the top of the stacks. From American Mythology Productions, this is cover B for Return of the Living Dead. Now I did read this, and they're trying to capture the essence of the first Return of the Living Dead story, and I don't think this really touches on any of the sequels. It does, and it's kind of takes place in the 80s. That doesn't really reference the originals. I don't know if Tarman is going to be in it. Probably he shouldn't be because this isn't his area. But the art is kind of cartoony, more cartoonier than I expected it to be for this kind of a story. But the characters are in line with what you'd expect in a Return of the Living Dead, early Return of the Living Dead story. The violence isn't there yet, but we're just getting the story started. So it's an interesting take on the idea, an interesting take on the concept. That's not bad, but it could be better. But this is also just the first issue. So I will be on board for the second issue. I think I'm going to take this one probably about the third issue and see how it stands. But first issue, we're just establishing everything, so I didn't expect too much from it. The only downside for me was the art was really cartoony, but still some really good covers there. And I did get a variant cover that'll be coming up here pretty soon. We got G.I. Joe #3. Good read. I enjoyed it. There's really not much more I can say about that, because I've always been more of a Transformers guy than a G.I. Joe guy, so I can't really say, well, this, that, and the other thing, but it's fun. It's a good read. If you're enjoying the Energon universe, you definitely want to get that. It's always G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals. Speaking of Transformers, I did pick up issue 16, and this is sort of like our now you get to take a breath. Take a breath and relax for a second for like 2 pages. So we've got we're continuing the search for Ultra Magnus. We've got new Transformers coming in. We've got the battle between the Gestalt characters, the Combiners. It's a great story, great series, great issue. I'm still loving it. I can't wait to see where this goes. And I know Daniel Warren Johnson is going to be leaving, I think later this year, in a couple of months, he's going to be leaving the series, but he's established so many great things with Transformers, this version of Transformers. I don't think it's going to be that difficult for anybody else to come in, pick it up, and run with it even further. So I'm holding out hope that that's the case, and I hope they pick the right person for the job, because there's some high standards that are being created with this with Johnson's version of these characters. Moving on, What If? So I got What If Galactus Transformed Gambit? Fun read. I like these sort of. They did this with a couple of times. They took one concept and did variations of it as sort of like a 5-issue, 4-issue miniseries, where none of the issues are connected. Each one's a standalone one shot, just with one basic idea. So this is if Galactus had transformed various Marvel characters who'd never been Heralds before into Heralds of Galactus. So they're not connected. So this one won't be referenced in any of the other ones, which is great. I like that. Just a one and done, standalone, and then you watch it or you read it, you love it, you move on. So this one is Gambit. It's cool to see something different. His design is really awesome. I love how his trench coat is basically Power Cosmic, and his hair has is sort of like how Nova and Airwalker had that flame coming up. They have that as well. It's a cool story, and it's very open-ended. So if they decide they want to revisit this one, they can. But still fun, a fun read, especially if you're a fan of Gambit. Check it out. This is the Return of the Living Dead variant cover I got. This is the FOC variant. So it's a $10 variant cover. But this one did have Tarman on it. I had to grab it because, if you get anything in Return of the Living Dead and there's a Tarman item available, you got to get the Tarman, because he is basically, what's left of it is the face of Return of the Living Dead. So great cover there. Speaking of great covers, Spirits of Vengeance #5. I picked up the Ghost Rider 2099 cover. Now this one here, the solicitation said that this is going to be the first meeting of Ghost Rider 2099 along with Blaze, Catch, and Vengeance. They don't actually meet in this issue, so that's very misleading. But I gotta say, the writers of this this story is a complete and total mess. There's points in time where it's hard to figure out which Ghost Rider if it's Blaze or Ketch, because they look so much alike. There's a few minor differences between them, but the drawing, the character designs are not the best. The writing, it's like we're not paying attention to any history, or we're just flat out ignoring the history of these characters because, well, it doesn't match, and we're just going to change everything because I want my story to mean something. But it doesn't work that way. I'm still reading because it's still, at the end of the day, it's cool to see Vengeance get something, and I'm also a big fan of Ghost Rider 2099, although Ghost Rider 2099 is not a Spirit of Vengeance. It's not part of that. He's not even really as much of a supernatural character as Blaze and Zarathos and Vengeance and Noble Kale. He's not supernatural in that sense. He's a human spirit that's inside of a sort of like a Terminator cyborg war machine robot. But that's as far as it goes. But it'll be interesting to see how he's able to how he's able to interact with modern day Spirits of Vengeance, since he's in the year 2099. I'll also be interested to see which version of Zero Cochrane we get, who is the human part of the cyborg here. But it's I guess it's a fun story. It's just the writer just doesn't know what the hell he's writing, because he's making references to things that didn't happen. And I mean it could also be just me, because I don't read a lot of the modern era Ghost Rider, because I think there's too much. I want to go back to when we just had Blaze and Ketch. And I mean, Blaze being Ghost Rider, I don't understand how he's still a Ghost Rider. And Ketch is a Ghost Rider again, but is it Noble Kale? Is it something else? What's the Spirit of Vengeance that's possessing Blaze again? Why aren't they able to have when did we do this thing where it used to be you'd have the human half, and then when they would transform into Ghost Rider, that was its own separate character. They just happen to share the same physical body. Now it's just like the Ghost Rider itself doesn't have its own personality, which is kind of not as interesting as having Blaze in full control and Ketch in full control. So and then the whole thing they're doing in Vengeance is just a huge mess. It doesn't jibe with history of the character, but again, it's because modern writers don't really pay attention to the history of the Marvel Universe. They just assume that there's not enough of us fans to really care that they're making all these changes. But I'm one of these old school fans that I don't like these changes. I'm still going to read the book. I know I'm kind of a hypocrite for still reading the book, but it's Ghost Rider. It's cool to see Vengeance when he's not this stupid demon form that doesn't actually exist, but now apparently it does, because again, the writer wants it to. But great cover though. I love this cover. That's a hot cover. I love that. The last book that I picked up was the first of these Galactus books. This is What If Galactus Transformed the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. Fun, again, a fun read. These ones are all fun reads. Next week I'll have I think it's going to be one that came out this week that I didn't get was the Moon Knight one. Not a big fan of Moon Knight, but it's going to be interesting to see that story. And then I think Rogue is the next one, and then we've got Spider-Gwen is the last one for the month. But still fun, a lot of fun. These are fun stories because you don't have to really know anything that's going on now, and it doesn't really tie into anything that's going on now in the mainline 616. So it's fun to be able to just sit and read a book without having to worry about a lot of luggage, with these characters. So, but that is it. A nice mix of books. And again, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to do this. We do, as I always say, we just have a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to be trying to focus more on this YouTube channel with the TikTok ban happening, which I guess I'll be remiss to mention that. That is something that's kind of distracted me from trying to build this a little bit more. Because I've got over 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 followers, or whatever the hell they're called over on TikTok. But I've been having a heck of a time trying to get over 300 subscribers on this. And I know it's because I don't really do a whole lot. I just have these little videos. But at the end of this month, at the end of January, I will have a new series. It's going to be a monthly series, not a weekly one like I try to do these comic books. It's going to be a monthly one. So we'll see what happens. I may mention a little bit more about that next week. I may actually do it next week since it's going to be technically the end of the month. We'll see. We'll see. I'll talk more about it next week. But that said, I hope everybody had a great New Year's. Had a lot of fun. Everybody out in LA, just be safe. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about your stuff. Things can be replaced. People can't. Just remember that. And yeah, just if you're in the area that's being hit by this Siberian vortex of freezing weather, cold weather that we get every winter, just be safe. Don't go out if you don't have to. Stay home, stay safe, relax, read some comics, watch some movies, do something like that. And again, awesome hot poster, and we will see you guys next time with another weekly haul. Hopefully something cool, something fun. We'll see what comes out next week. We'll talk to you later. See ya.